Right now, there's a voice in your head reading these words. It's probably commenting on what I'm saying, maybe agreeing, maybe disagreeing, maybe wondering if this video is even worth watching. That little narrator feels so normal that most of us assume everyone experiences it. But for about 4% of people, that voice doesn't exist at all. No internal narrator, no mental conversations, no replaying old arguments in the shower, no voice reminding them to buy milk. Just silence. So if there's no voice in their head, how do they think? For years, scientists assumed that inner speech was a universal human experience. After all, if you've ever rehearsed a conversation before it happened, argued with someone in your imagination, or talked yourself through a difficult task, you know how important that voice can feel. It's like having a roommate living inside your brain, sometimes helpful, sometimes annoying, but always there. Then researchers started asking people a simple question: what does thinking feel like to you? And the answers were surprising, because not everyone described a voice. In fact, some people seemed genuinely confused by the question. They didn't understand what it meant to hear thoughts, not because they couldn't think, but because they think differently. Before we go any further, let's define what an inner voice actually is. An inner voice isn't a real sound. It's the experience of hearing words in your mind. When you're reading this script, planning your day, or silently talking to yourself, that's your inner voice. For many people, it's constantly active. It's narrating experiences, analyzing situations, judging decisions, and occasionally reminding you of something embarrassing you did 5 years ago at 2 a.m. But here's the strange part. Even among people who have an inner voice, not everyone experiences it equally. Some hear it almost all the time. Others only hear it occasionally. And a small percentage, they don't hear it at all. This is where things get fascinating. If they don't think in words, what exactly is happening inside their minds? The answer is that thinking doesn't require language. Many people without an inner voice describe thinking through images. Instead of hearing words, they see concepts. Imagine you're planning a trip to the grocery store. Someone with an inner voice might think, I need milk, eggs, bread, and maybe some fruit. But someone without an inner voice might simply visualize the grocery store. They might see themselves walking through the aisles, see the items they need, and understand the plan instantly. No words required. It's almost like their brain skips the narration and goes straight to the idea. Here's something even stranger. Scientists don't fully understand why this difference exists. There's no evidence that people without an inner voice are less intelligent. In fact, many don't realize they're different until they talk about it with someone else. Imagine living your entire life assuming everyone experiences the world exactly like you do. Then one day someone says, wait, you don't hear a voice in your head. That's when many people discover they've been thinking differently all along. It's like finding out some people can see colors you've never seen, or realizing you've been using a completely different operating system your entire life. Try this. Picture your front door. You probably did it instantly. No words needed. Now imagine a bright red apple. Again, no words, just an image. This demonstrates something important. Your brain already has multiple ways to think. Words are only one of them. Visual thinking, spatial thinking, abstract thinking, emotional thinking. Your mind is far more flexible than it seems. For some people, the inner voice is the primary tool. For others, it's barely used. And for a few, it's completely absent. One common misconception is that people without an inner voice must be calmer. After all, no overthinking sounds pretty nice. But that's not necessarily true. They still experience emotions. They still worry. They still make decisions. The difference is simply the format. Their thoughts may not arrive as spoken sentences, but the thoughts are still there. Think of it this way. Two computers can run the same program using different code, different process, same result. And maybe that's the most fascinating part of all, the fact that human minds can work in fundamentally different ways. Every day, we walk around assuming other people experience reality exactly as we do. But they don't. Some people have vivid mental images. Others barely visualize anything. Some constantly hear an inner narrator. Others experience complete silence. Yet somehow, we all navigate the same world. So the next time that voice in your head starts talking, take a moment to appreciate how strange it really is. Because for millions of people, that voice isn't there. Never has been. And despite that, they're thinking, learning, planning, and living just fine. Which raises an interesting question. If your inner voice suddenly disappeared tomorrow, would you still be you? Or is that little narrator more important than you think? Think about it. Or maybe, just listen to the voice that's already answering.